They're still pouring in, Ed. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. I am grateful to serve this congregation as minister, and I'm grateful for all of you who are here. And I'm especially grateful this morning for a wonderful group of people who keep us learning and growing throughout the year, our Adult Enrichment and Wonderful Wednesdays group. Such a fabulous group that works hard to bring programming to you on a regular basis. That includes our book groups and our small chalice circles, our Wonderful Wednesdays, the transitions effort that's been going on, and also the recent Alzheimer's workshops. I want to highlight those folks who do that work, starting with Kathy Gorski, who's just walking in the door, the chair of the Adult Enrichment Group, Ann Fisher, Adrian Cady, El Di Casparo, Sherry Arns, Cheryl Nunes, Martha Cornell. Anybody else in the sanctuary that's been involved in planning for adult enrichment that I've missed? Well, we want to thank all those folks who do such a great job year in and year out in bringing that programming to our congregation. So thank you very much for all. And I'm also wonderfully thankful to have Ed Ostrom here as our worship associate today.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're on.
Oh. In preparation for this service, I was reading what I had typed, and I had accidentally left the letter L out of the word welcome. So it read, "We come." And that got me to thinking. So I asked myself, why do we come here? I think I know some of the reasons. We come because we know that everyone, irrespective of their color, their creed, their origin, their beliefs, their gender, just everyone, even those who sing bass, they're welcome here. We come because there is sanity here. We come because we support the principles that represent the foundations of this institution. We come because of old friends and new guests who will soon become friends. We come because we feel the warmth expressed by members and friends of this congregation. So, remember, leave the L in to feel welcome here, and get the L out. To remember why we come. And now a word to our members, friends, and guests, but especially our newcomers. After service and on the patio, we celebrate another UU tradition. It's called the 4 C's: coffee, confection, conversation, and camaraderie. We invite you to join and participate in that tradition.
And let us settle ourselves with a deep breath this morning as we welcome the choir and our prelude. And Sean has a word or two to say about what's happening next.
Whoops, there we go. Hi, this morning's prelude is a bit of a ritual, and we're going to be singing sort of responsive singing over here, but we need your help on the chorus, which if you can, Abby, give me the... We can, so it'll go, we can raise each other up, higher and higher, we can raise each other up. Good, and let's do it one more time. We can raise each other up, higher and higher, we can raise each other up. Good. Very Very good. Thank you. Let's start. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Creator. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our Creator. We gotta know what she knows. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our elders. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our elders. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our children. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of our children. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the winged. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the winged. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the four-legged. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the four-legged. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the swimmers. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the swimmers. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the crawlers. We gotta bend down low. We gotta humble ourselves in the eyes of the crawlers. We gotta know what they know. We can raise each other up higher and higher. We can raise each other up.
The same stream of life that runs through our veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It's the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth and in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death, in ebb and flow. May our limbs be made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and our pride stem from the life throb of ages dancing in our veins this moment. Let's join together in the chalice lighting words that are on the screen or on your order of service. May this flame stir our hearts and remind us of our mission to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. And as Ed lights the chalice this morning, let's join together in singing our opening hymn, number 1007, in the Teal hymnal. The words will also be on your screen. There's a river flowing in my soul. Please rise as you're willing and able. There's a river flowing in my soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind.
So today we are celebrating Earth Day. For the second Sunday in the last 5 weeks, we're doing this. And I don't think anybody would question the need for us to recognize the earth and its needs in these days. And 5 weeks ago in the service, Joan Benz joined me on the chancel, and we had a conversation. And I want to invite Joan back up to share at least a little bit of news, but also a story I think that's important to hear.
Good morning. During our service on March 5th, we said that small but dedicated groups could make a big difference in climate change. After this service, we had a very positive response to Green Sanctuary's offer to share and exchange information on the climate crisis. And with the help of all of you, hopefully we can continue to do that for years to come. To emphasize once more what one small group could do, I just wanted to report to you about an historic and highly eventful event that occurred just 3 weeks ago. It all started in a small environmental law class in Fiji in 2019. Cynthia Huniuhi, the president of the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change Group, said she and her peers were discussing how to address climate change through legal pathways when they came upon the idea of addressing the United Nations International Court of Justice. They sent a proposal to all of the governments in the Pacific Islands. One of these islands, Vanuatu, has the highest disaster risk in the whole wide world. It has sustained disproportionately high impacts from rising sea levels, rising temperatures, increasing number of droughts, and increasingly intensifying cyclones. So the Vanuatu government asked the United Nations for an advisory opinion on the legal responsibilities of governments to address the climate issue, arguing that for Pacific Islanders right now, climate change is a human rights issue. Vanuatu right now is in an emergency 6-month period following 2 horrendous Category 4 cyclones that pummeled the island just 7 weeks ago. The damage from these 2 storms alone will cost to address more than 1/2 of Vanuatu's GDP. In 2022, last year, students and climate activists sailed in a flotilla of boats in front of the United Nations headquarters with under a dozen Pacific Island flags, asking those leaders to vote yes for an advisory opinion. And just 2 months later, world leaders created a loss and damage fund. In it, rich nations, which have contributed more to climate change, will pay poor nations to recover from the resulting damages. Just as important as this loss and damage fund, on Wednesday, March 29th, an advisory opinion was voted upon and approved by 130 of the 194 nation members. And this historic global environmental justice victory started from a proposal in a small environmental law class in Fiji. Having an advisory opinion from the highest court in the world will provide legal clarity on how a loss and damage fund will work. It may also inform future law, future climate negotiations and future climate lawsuits across the world. Who should ultimately be involved in paying for this incredible destruction? Well, I'd like to point out that BP, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Total Energies together raked in over $199.3 billion in profits alone in 2022. So maybe they could contribute a little. But nevertheless, most importantly, just like water falling on rocks over time, small and dedicated groups can make a big difference in climate change. And we would just like to encourage all of you again to please support, contribute what you've learned about the topic to, and hopefully join our small Green Sanctuary Climate Action team, because we need you, and your efforts may have more impact than you might think. Thank you.
Thanks, Joan. Thank you so much, Joan. And it's, in some ways, for us, it sounds so far away. Vanuatu, way down there, and off of 1,000 miles off of Fiji on the other side of the earth. All we have to do is remember back to September of last year here in Naples, Florida, the impact of climate change and the power of storms and the impact on individual people's lives here in our own community, to realize that we are tied inexorably with the people all over the world through our need for water and for the need for climate justice. People have been living in Vanuatu for over 3,000 years, a long time. They arrived traversing great stretches of water, and they have made a life off the land and off the water for that length of time. They have every right to be there, every right to the bounty of the resources that should be there, that are now being threatened by our own actions as human beings in the world. So I want to thank Joan for her efforts, for her story, and for reminding us that it is up to us, even if we are small, we can be mighty in working for climate justice. So thanks so much. Let's settle ourselves into our time of sharing and meditation by singing Spirit of Life. It's number 123 in the Gray Hymnal. The words will be on your screen. We'll sing a verse in English and then a verse in Spanish.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla a volar, sube en la mar hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Join together each week in the midst of our individual lives. And as Ed said, we come together to share in the bounty of this community and the love of this community. And in our sharing, we grow. This is a time in our service where you have an opportunity to share something of personal import to you, a joy or a sorrow, not a time for announcements or events. If you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share, I hope you'll raise your hand, and I will come to you with a microphone and share your name and briefly what's in your heart, joys and sorrows.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Truchon, and yes, I'm already standing. I have a couple things. First, a joy. My stepson and Matthew's Uncle Ben is in town visiting us this week. He and his mother are off having some mother-son time picking blueberries, so they're not here, but it's nice to have him in town. The other one is a mixture. My childhood friend Jill has a daughter, Nina, that's attending Northwestern University outside Chicago. A few weeks ago, she had an accident where Jill and her husband Henry received the call no parent wants that their daughter had had a fractured skull, was in the ICU with internal bleeding. The joy in that is that she seems to be doing better, but I do ask you to keep her in your thoughts because she has some lingering effects like hearing loss that they're hoping is temporary.
Thank you, Stephanie. Anyone else?
Good morning. I'm Kathy Summers. I have a sorrow. There's a person in our community who went home and had a stroke, and she's in ICU. I think she's going to be okay, but she's in our thoughts. And I have a joy over this music program that we have in the UU Naples here. This is our last week singing in the choir. and it's been a particularly fun time getting to know everybody and participating in the choir. And I think I speak for everyone here because it's just really a wonderful experience and a real camaraderie, as Ed said.
Thank you, Kathy. And you are our joy, yes.
I'm Patsy Sachs, and I just want to say that my brother Laird Carmichael is visiting us from Georgia. Laird, would you stand up so everybody's right there? Yeah. I know he'll thank me for that, but he's here. We are enjoying having him. Thank you.
Yeah. Aren't sisters great? They just do that to you.
Hi, I'm Kati Griffith, and since everyone is introducing people visiting, I have very dear friends from many, many years ago, Janusz and Maria, originally from Poland, and Janusz worked for Dave's and my company for many, many years, and they're very dear friends, and they're here really to honor Dave's memory. We'll be going out into the garden later.
Thank you, Kati. And welcome. We're glad you're all with us this morning. Anyone else? Grateful for all those joys that have been spoken and all those that remain unspoken in our hearts. Let's join together in the spirit of meditation as we zero in on this service about water. Water of life, water of baptism, water that cleanses and heals, water that breaks down and destroys, water of swamps and sloughs, water contained in roiling sea ice, soft groundwater, tenderly upwelling to green a barren landscape. Let us listen to the wisdom we can hear in the singing chuckle of a creek, the roar of a waterfall, the calm assurance of a great river, the crash of a seawall, the quiet privacy of fog. Rain washing or splashing down, or downpouring or falling gentle as a leaf. The soft healing or bitter springing of, or joyful welling of tears. Let us be grateful for this substance of life. And like water, may we too be a universal solvent, dissolving all hate and all fear. Let's join together in some time of silence.
From a chemical point of view, water is the most extraordinary, peculiar item on this earth. Life could not exist without its peculiarities, and I'm going to point out several of them. Humans cannot survive more than 3 days without water. More than 70% of the world's surface is covered with water. Water, although not a universal solvent, if it were, where would you put it? Is nonetheless dissolves more things than any other substance. Water has what we call a surface tension. It's capable, for example, of supporting an iron needle. In fact, we use soap in order to break that tension, in order to wash our bodies and our clothes. Water is almost the only common substance in the universe that is less dense when solid than when liquid. Okay, so what? But think of your ponds in wintertime, where we kids would wait until the ice formed and was solid enough to support us. That ice floated. Had it been a typical substance, that ice, when formed, would sink to the bottom. All of the surfaces of water, oceans, ponds, streams, would freeze from the bottom up. There would be no life in the oceans, no coral in the oceans, and no life on land. Yet because of its huge abundance, we humans don't think much about it. And because we pay so little attention to it, we abuse it. Our farms and our factories pollute it. And we pollute it in many ways with our refuse. For example, our oceans contain huge quantities of microscopic-sized pieces of plastic, which fish ingest and die. When plastic-based products break down, they do not biodegrade. Instead, they break down into microplastics, which are the size of sesame seeds or even smaller. They are made up of numerous toxic chemical components, making them capable of poisoning everything they touch. Worst of all, today, they are literally everywhere. In the air we breathe, inside our bodies. According to the European Environmental Bureau, microplastics have become a ubiquitous part of our environment. And they are in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and deep within our organs. They have been found in the deepest oceans, trapped in Arctic snow, and in the soil of 7 continents. To be quite frank, the situation is nearly out of control. And yet there's another disaster looming. Climate change is warming Antarctic ice. Billions of tons of ice are calving from glaciers, causing sea levels around the world to rise. And the rate of calving, thought to be steady, has recently been found to be increasing. Scientists have announced that the rate of melt is increasing with dire predictions as land is and will be surrendering to water. Our 7th principle says, respect the interdependence web of all existence. That includes water, its cleanliness, and its existence both above and below its surface. Water shouts for our action. The question is, will we give heed to the immediacy of water's cry for help?
How many are waiting for something to happen with this water up front? I thought about this. I said, what can we do on Sunday morning to celebrate water? Maybe we can have a ritual around that. But there it is. Something we don't think a lot about on a day-to-day basis, but which is so important to our lives. So my job after Ed's reading today is to weave together something that is sort of less depressing but let me start a reading from J. Baird Collicott, who was a philosopher and teacher who taught the first ever course in environmental ethics and wrote a book of the same name, Environmental Ethics, about an experience he had in studying the Mississippi River that affected him profoundly. He writes, I gazed at the brown, silk-choked waters absorbing a black plume of industrial and municipal sewage from Memphis. And I followed bits of some unknown beige froth floating continually down the river. I experienced a palpable pain. It was not distinctly located in any of my extremities, nor was it like a headache or nausea. Still, it was very real. I had no plans to swim in the river, no need to drink from it, no intention of buying real estate on its shores. My narrow personal interests were not affected, and yet somehow I felt personally injured. it occurred to me then, in a flash of self-discovery, that the river was part of me. We are more connected than we think. And perhaps it takes something like that experience, or our own experience here in Naples in September, to reconnect with some visceral sense of our connection with water. For many of us, we think about those first photographs that were sent back from our moon program of the Earth rising above the surface of the moon, that blue ball that took our breath away. There was this incredible object hanging there in space, enveloped in a blue mist, and within that ball was all the life we knew existed in the universe. Holding it, supporting it. And if the earth provides the gift of life through the medium of water, then water is, in fact, the substance of life. And in the atmosphere, too, in the air we are breathing now, are water particles, water molecules that we are sharing with every breath we take. It is through water that we are both physically and spiritually interrelated, interconnected. As we inspire, as we breathe, we are connected. And we are dependent. And we are interdependent. We've always been interested in the nature of things and how things work. And for so many millennia, we imbued nature with spirits. It was the spirit of the river and of the stream and of the trees and of the sky and of the sun. And we learned to try and placate those spirits so that they would act in accordance with our hopes and our wishes. As human beings, as animals, just like any other animal, we were connected to the need for water, never venturing too far from its life-giving properties, never traveling too far at any one time away from water. And when human beings began cultivating crops, we became even more reliant on when the rains came and when the floods came. We learned how to predict the seasonality so that we could plant at just the right time and in the best places. And we prayed to the God of the rain or the God of the sun in hopes that everything would come together. Then we learned a little bit more about how things broke down in terms of the elements of things. First there was earth, wind, fire, and water. And then we began to understand, as science progressed even more closely, how molecules came together. And somewhere in there, in some portion of our brain, we lost that spiritual connection to water. And as Ed said, it became a commodity. Today we just turn the tap and there it is, flowing freely, at least for us here in the first world. But religion has maintained its ties. Spiritual, even pagan traditions have maintained their ties to water. In almost every religion, water is an important element in ritual cleansing and purification. It's part of traditions that live on. In Judaism, the creation story starts with God hovering over the waters, Water's always had great symbolism in the stories of Noah and in Moses crossing the Red Sea. In Hinduism, for Hindu people, all water is sacred, and especially the rivers. Hindu belief holds that bathing in rivers brings forgiveness for all the times we've not been at our best. For Buddhists, water is said to symbolize purity, clarity, and calmness. And it is crucial for Buddhists to live in harmony with the environment. Water in Christianity is primarily associated with baptism and the ritual of both a physical and spiritual cleansing and purification. And so it is with Muslims who engage in a ritual washing in preparation for their regular prayers 5 times a day. In Taoist philosophy, there's an expression that says, "Be still like a mountain and flow like a great river," urging people to see how their natural surroundings can be a model for good conduct. And as Unitarian Universalists, as we understand the science and lift that up, we also enjoy the symbolism of water. We too use it as a symbol. Our congregations celebrate often with a water ceremony, very similar to the flower ritual we shared a couple of weeks ago, where members of the congregation bring water representative of sources that they feel are important to their own story. Water from the backyard pool, water from the garden faucet, water from a lake in Maine, water from a trip. And everyone's encouraged to bring water together and put that water into a communal vessel. The combined water symbolizing the creation of community out of many unique individuals and a new beginning for a year together. And together we need to think about lifting up water as a spiritual element, as a spiritual piece of who we are and dimension in order to become more considerate of how we treat each other, how we treat the environment, and how we treat our water as a valuable resource. Understanding that the web of life on which we are a part needs fresh, clean water to survive and flourish. And there is not that much of it on the earth, as much as we think about that. It is only a thin layer over a large ball. To recognize that water is not only a resource, but that since the beginning of civilization it has also had intangible, symbolic, and sacred dimensions, we need to remember, as Molly Wolf has written, the water of life, the water of baptism, the water that cleanses. To know the sacred aspect of water is to bring attention to its complexity and to show gratitude to life itself. This does, however, require a certain amount of humility, like our prelude this morning. So we need to understand our relationship to water and to bow down, to lower ourselves. There's a wonderful story that Anthony Lawler, the architect, shares in his book, The Temple in the House, Finding the Sacred in Everyday Architecture. So he tells a story of the Japanese tea master, Sen no Rikyu, who built a tea house on the side of a hill overlooking the sea, a beautiful vista. And 3 guests were invited to the inaugural tea ceremony in the new tea house. Hearing about the beautiful site in advance, they expected to find a structure that took advantage of the wonderful view. But after arriving at the garden gate, they were perplexed to discover a grove of trees had been planted that obstructed the panorama. Before entering the tea house, the guests followed the traditional custom of purifying their hands and mouths at the stone basin near the entryway. Stooping to draw water with a bamboo ladle, they noticed an opening in the trees that provided a vision of the sparkling sea. In that humble position, in that bowed position, they awakened to the relationship between the cool liquid in the ladle and the ocean in the distance, between their individuality and the ocean of life. So may it be for all of us.
Now is the time for us to express our gratitude for this community, its work, its vision, and all of the ways it nourishes our lives, from its welcoming doors and sheltering walls to its good and generous people. From time to time, I'm asked what a Unitarian Universalist believes. I must admit to initially being stumped. Oh, not because we don't believe, but because we believe so much. We believe in freedom of religion, of tolerance for religious ideas, in the authority of reason and conscience, in the never-ending search for truth, the worth and dignity of every human being. Additionally, we believe in the importance of this place in Naples, this place of beauty, this building, our gardens, and most of all, its people. It's good here. But to maintain and grow requires the greenery of foliage. You smelled it, didn't you? And the greenery of our money. And with that latter thought in mind, the morning's offering will be gratefully received. You can find our address on the screen if you wish to make an alternative donation.
A few things that are going on this week of import. First and foremost, we have a forum right here in the sanctuary starting at 11:30 or so with Catherine Cunningham of Moms Demand Action. There's too much gun violence in the news every single day, and it is time that we do something about it. Moms Demand Action has been in the forefront of that effort for a long time, and I hope you'll stay and listen to Catherine and what she has to say today. The exhibit of copper sculptures by Lino Nesda continues in Medical Foyer through the end of the month. So if you haven't had a chance to go down and see it, it's truly a powerful statement by Lino, who was a member here and who passed in 2018. Our weekend meals program is still in its fundraising phase. We have a wonderful offer of a matching gift. So if you haven't given, or if you would like to give a little bit more, we have a matching gift. Right now, we have enough money, as of Friday, enough money in the fund to feed 109 children. Our goal is 150, as it was this past year. So if you have an opportunity, please check out the Sunday news or any of the news blasts to find out more about that. In terms of our service today, right here in Collier County, there are conversations going on about how we will protect ourselves in the event of future sea level rise and in terms of storm surges. This past Wednesday, the Environmental Defense Fund hosted a forum about natural landscaping that will help in protecting the citizens and the property here in Southwest Florida. A natural way to do that, as opposed to the hardscape that has been proposed by the Army Corps of Engineers. The Army Corps of Engineers is having a meeting this coming Wednesday. A lot of information about this is available. I've seen it on the Conservancy of Southwest Florida website. There's a lot of good information there, and I'm sure there are other places. So I urge you to look carefully at those sites and make some decisions about how you might want to spend your Wednesday. This past Wednesday, 400 people were on a virtual call at very short notice. So there's a real interest, and we need to have our voices heard about that. And finally, Sean has an announcement about a wonderful opportunity this afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Yes. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, there's a free concert in this space. It's the Coalition for Collegiate Musicians of Color, which is a student organization based at FGCU. They are celebrating composers of color, ranging from Paquito de Rivera to Tanya Leon, Florence Price, Roberto Sierra, Margaret Bonds, and B.E. Boykin. What is very happy for me personally as a composer is that many of those people are still alive. It's a great thing. Anyway, it's going to be chamber music and art song. Abby is also joining them, as well as Fernando Lopez Flores, who has subbed for Abby here on occasion. It's going to be a wonderful concert, about an hour long, and yeah, I hope to see you here. It's free, again, 4 o'clock.
All right. Thanks, Sean. And now let's rise as you're willing and able and sing our closing hymn, number 1064 in the Teal Hymnal. Words will be on your screen. Blue Boat Home. Though below me
I see no ocean, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply this starry sea. Waiting o'er the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great wind filling me on, greet the infinite sea before me, set the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Deep peace of a quiet rain to you. Deep peace of a flowing stream to you. Deep peace of a calm lake to you. Deep peace of the ebbing tide to you. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.